26th of October, Rabbi Silver, substitute for Rabbi Levitt, Gomorrah. Okay.
你敢吃的也是这样。 عايز مضخ مش عارف خالص كده. إذا أنا آخد من
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know why where everybody else is, but I guess we should start.
Okay.
I know Alan called me. He's having trouble with his internet.
Oh, okay.
Phil doesn't come on Tuesdays. That's right, because his wife has a medical condition and he's usually with her on Tuesdays. So it's probably just us.
There was somebody else. You told me about Yechiel or somebody, or what happened?
Yeah, that's right. Yechiel also. I don't know where he is either.
Okay.
Here comes Phil. I guess my Tuesday rule is not working.
Sorry?
Phil is coming.
How can you tell Phil is coming?
I'm the host. When somebody tries to connect,
Oh,
it requests me to let them in, and then it takes about a minute for them to get here.
okay. Okay, I'm sorry for the delay this morning. Mr. Shem,
No
tomorrow,
problem.
hopefully.
It
Okay,
happens.
yeah, happens to me a lot. Okay, we're on the Mishnah?
We're in the Mishnah on Pei Zion Amid Aleph.
Pei Zayin Amid Aleph, great. Okay, so
So,
you'll start?
I'll go ahead and
Hello,
start. Morning, Phil. This is
morning.
Rabbi
So,
Silver.
Shmuel Silver, Shmuel, please. Hi,
Okay, hi.
we're on Pei Zayin.
You're not with your wife today?
You talking to me?
Weren't you? Didn't you say Tuesdays was your day to take her to the doctor?
Well, she had an issue, so we were at the doc. We were there yesterday. We were at the doctor yesterday in the emergency room yesterday. Instead,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope she's
she
okay.
didn't feel well. She didn't feel well enough to make it up to Tuesday, so we went to the doctor yesterday.
Ah,
We
okay.
do have appointments for the next 2 Tuesdays going on, but anyway, so we had to go in to make sure the treatment took care of yesterday instead.
Right. Okay. All right. So we're on Pei Zion Amid Aleph. We're at the Mishnah.
Right.
Zeh
Okay.
chomer be'adam mibashur. This is a stringency of a person from an ox. Adam mishalem nezek sa'ar ripui sheves uvoshes. That a person pays damages for pain, for healing, and for loss of employment and humiliation.
Right. That's right. There's a Tsaripur. That's the 5, right? The 5 Tashlumin. Nezek, right. We did, you're learning public comments, so you know all this, right?
Right,
I'm
yeah.
back.
Hello.
Welcome back, Alan.
I don't know what happened. You wouldn't connect.
Oh, that's too bad. Okay, we just did the first line, the first 2 lines. In the
We're on
Mishnah.
87A2, Alan. We're doing the Mishnah. Umashalem demei vilados. And he pays the value of the fetus.
Right.
Mishor Eno Mishalem Ella Nezek. For a ox, he only pays for damage.
Right. Only damage, not the other pain and doctor's bills and all these things. He just pays the damages. Upater, yeah.
Pater midemei vlados, and he is exempt from paying for fetus. We'll have to look at the Rashi for the
The
clarification.
Rashi, yeah.
So should we go look at the Rashi?
Yeah, we're making a parallel. What's the difference between a human being doing damage and an animal? And so far, the human being has a lot more, a lot more things he's liabilities than an animal. Or the owner. Obviously, we're talking about animal doesn't have any liability. It means the owner of the animal would not have to pay or the same amount as if he would have done damage. If he would have done something, he hit somebody, it wouldn't be the same as if his animal would do the damages. When it comes to people, right? Okay, let's see the Rashi. Rashi doesn't talk about. Well, this five. We started this. You learned about this. Chayvel this deals with it, right? All the five.
Yeah.
The five damages.
Okay, the
Yeah,
Rashi on,
The previous
read the Rashi.
discussion discusses it.
Discuss it, right?
okay, let's start the first part of Rashi is the shore Eino Mishalem Ela Nezek, the shore only pays for damages. Kedama B'Perech Beit in the second parak of, I guess, of Baba Kama.
Right.
Ish, and it says Chafav Amad Aleph. Ish be'imito, a man who damages his fellow, below shore be'imito, but not an ox that damages his fellow.
That's right. That very good. Ishbamiso. It says Ishbamiso in the pasuk. Only a man and to his
Okay.
friend. Right. When the pasuk enumerates all the different different amounts, he has to pay him for this, for that. It says Ishbamiso, which we said excludes shor. Right. And that's Rashi. Okay.
And this is
What is he referring to?
Sorry.
ox. Why an ox doesn't pay?
Right.
Why the ox only pays Nezik? Because to pay the arb of the chamesh, it has to be a man. It has to be an ish. That's what the pasuk says, an ish. It doesn't say
Right.
a shore.
Right.
Once it specifically says an ish, it excludes a shore.
Right. Ish ba miso, below shor ba miso. A shor doesn't mean his friend. It means a shor. A miso means obviously a shor is not a shor. A shor. We're talking about a shor hurting a person. Right. A person hurting a person has to deal with all these types of damages. It has to pay for the nezik and for the repoi, for the doctor's bills. But if an animal would do the same damage, the same exact damage to a person, we wouldn't make the owner of the shar, we wouldn't make the owner of the animal responsible as if the owner did it. The animal we don't make the owner pay all the damages, the five damages. He just has to pay the damage, nezek, and the rest of those things he's off the hook. Even though his animal did the damage, the same damage. But if that's a pasuk, the pasuk excludes an animal, the owner of the animal.
What does amiso mean?
Amiso is like Reyehu. It means a friend, a colleague, a person, another ish bamiso, a man to his friend, or I mean, I don't know how friendly he is if he gave.
No, but by saying the imiso,
Yeah.
which I'm not getting into the politically correct situation, that talks a man who's damaging his fellow Jew. It doesn't necessarily take care of a goy. A goy would not be considered amiso.
That's a good question. What would be with a non-Jewish person if this pasuk would come to exclude? You're right. I don't know the Gemara. Maybe the Gemara. I'm sure the Gemara talks about it. But here, we're I don't know. I'm sure there's Gemara about it. I don't know the answer to that. But it sounds like it's a good. It sounds like a drasha. Such a drasha the Gemara would make. Sure.
So in other words, if a man damages his friend, he pays all five.
Right.
If a man's shore damages the friend of the man does not have to pay for all five.
Exactly. The man pays just the nezik, which is you figure out. Gemara talks about how you make those types of assessments. You see if let's say if a person would be a slave, and now he has something broken. He has a foot that he's limping, or he can't do the same work. So he would be sold for less on the market. Some way of assessing it, the damages. But what about the fact that he has the doctor's bills and he's out of work. He has what do you call what do you call it in English?
Unemployment.
Unemployment. Yeah, he has to recover. Yeah, he'll be out for 3. He'll be out of work for 3 months. And yeah, those things. The owner of the.
Something else.
I'm sorry.
That's called something else. That's like,
Yeah, right.
like you get your social security benefits,
Right.
workers'
Right.
compensation.
Workers' compensation. Right. All these things. The owner of the shar is exempt. Is putter from all these other things. If he would have done this damage, he would have to pay. But if his shar does this damage, he's off the hook from all the other types of damage. You know, I don't know, maybe you'd call them, the collateral. I don't know what you call them, side damages or something, not the actual, the price that that person has lost value. The value lost, so he has to pay. But the other side things, he's off the hook because it was his animal, and that's it. Okay, that's a pasuk. That's what the daf chafov. It's a gzersa chassid. And what else? What was the second? And then also one other thing: the owner of the animal is exempt, is putter. In the case where the animal hit a lady and caused her to miscarry, right? That's the next Rashi.
So let's look at the next Rashi, but the fetus. The fetus. He's putted from paying value of the fetus. K'da Omar, it says, B'shor shenegah et hapara. Okay, so that's another place where it talks pay above about an ox that gores a cow, another ox, so to speak. Anashim below shurim, people, and not oxen. So that's why you only pay the nezek if the shore would damage people. You know, the other cases, so to speak. If it's only if people do it, not if a shore doesn't do it. That's the key. That if people damage, if people hurt other people, then there's a thing, but not shoring who do other things. It would be about the other four, the 4 or 5, only the nezek. I don't know if this is the same Rashi or not. Where it continues, Maka Aviv Imo. Somebody, he wounds his father or his mother. Ein Chayev, he's not Chayev. Ad Shia, this looks like it's later. Ad Shia Sabahem Chabur, until he makes a wound in them, and that's another place. Be'elu Hein Nit Nakim. These are the ones that are Mitak.
So,
That's
Rabbi,
later.
you said that if a shore damages a woman, where do you get that from? That he damages a woman? I would have thought a shore damages another shore.
No, it's not saying a shore. It's saying if the shore hits the woman
Where
and
does it say woman?
causes a miscarriage.
Where does it say woman?
That's the concept of a vlad. It's not a question of that. What he's parted from a delay of vlad means that the shore damages the fetus. The shore would not pay, only pays the nezek of the fetus and doesn't pay busha to a fetus.
How do you know the fetus is not the fetus of another shore?
Because if it was damaging another shore, wait a second, would the owner might be responsible? It all depends if it's a muad and things like that. I don't know. That gets into a totally different category. But the pasiks talk about damaging people, something causing the woman to lose the fetus. There's no pasuk talking about a shore damaging the fetus. So that's why they're saying, since there's no pasuk about that, therefore it only applies to people damaging and not shore damaging.
What pasuk are you referring to?
Does it tell you that? It just says, the Rashi says anashim with no shore. The pasuk talks about people and not oxen. Where's the pasuk? Let's see if it gives a pasuk.
On a sheep, you
Uh,
know, willow shoring means people and not cows.
Yeah, and not animals, right? Not oxen. Because the pasuk talks about a man who causes a miscarriage, and then he talks about he has to pay. There's no pasuk that talks about an ox that damages, causes the woman, the fetus, who would have to pay. They only talked about
Where's the
person.
pasuk that talks about a man damaging a fetus?
Okay, that should be, let's see, it's in the notes here. Yeah, it is. It's here in the bottom. It's listed as, it's
Oh,
note
Shmuel?
14. Note 14.
You lost your connection?
Who is he? Yeah, he's not on.
Oi,
What's going on? Lost the connection to it now?
your landline is down or your cell phone is down? You're talking about your landline or your cell phone? Oh, okay. Yeah, you need to call your provider. Yeah, that's a good idea. But if you call your provider, they can tell you if it's an outage or if it's just you. I will. But keep trying. Okay, great. All right, thank you. Bye-bye. All right, his router died. We don't know if it's a problem with the company or it's a problem with his particular house. But he said his phone is also not working. That's surprising because his phone is voice over IP. So if the IP goes down, if the
No, but
goes down, then the
right.
phone and the computer both go down. So you probably heard me. I told him that he should try rebooting his router, but also try calling his provider, and he's going to keep trying. So I don't know what you want to do. You want to continue on in hopes that he comes back, or you want to call it quits for the day?
Well, let's give him a couple of minutes, I guess.
All right. So we
Sorry
were
to
going to
go
find
long.
that Cossack.
Read while we talk with you, read note 14.
Okay,
That's
let's see.
your
Oh, I see. Shemos 21:22. If men shall quarrel and they jolt a pregnant woman and she miscarries, there will be no fatality. The woman does not die. He who struck the woman shall be punished, as the husband of the woman shall cause to be assessed against him, and he shall give compensation by order of the judges. Okay, so that covers the loss of a fetus of a woman
by a person, because the
by
man does it.
a person, right?
That's why, since the pasuk specifically says a person, just like that first one talked about ish below shore, this is anashim. It's a caused by people, not caused by oxen. So therefore, since the pasuk only says you pay because of a person, if it was an ox causing it, they'd be punished from payment.
Okay, but that footnote is not on the place that we're concerned about.
Yeah, that's what it's on. Because
no, it says if a person damages. See, if an ox injures a person,
We're talking about a person or a fetus. That's a fetus. That pasuk, that pasuk is talking about a fetus.
okay, let's start with the beginning of the Mishnah. This is a stringency of a person who injures a person over an ox that injures a person,
That's right.
that the person pays for permanent physical damage, pain, healing, loss of employment, and humiliation.
Mhm.
So that's now a person is paying because the person did the damage.
Right.
He pays the 5. And
Mhm.
if he, that is the person, injures a pregnant woman, he, the person, pays the value of the fetus in the event of a miscarriage. And that's footnote.
Wait. Stop with yeah, the person pays the person and the person. And there are 2 psukim that talk about when the person pays.
Right,
For the
that's
first
footnote
case-
14. Footnote
No,
14,
that's footnote 14 is talking pays the value of the fetus.
right, when a person
Right.
damages a person.
Right.
But we're
And a person
concerned now with
damages a
when an
fetus.
ox damages a person. So
Fine.
14
So
is irrelevant.
now, well, we'll get to 14. 14 is the following. Now we're up to 14 is Rashi's answer to why it says, it continues the Mishnah of V'shor eino mishalom el nezek. So the person, it says the person only pays damages, a total of the damages. And that is because of, the reason for that one is because of whatchamacallit, because of the pasuk, the ba'amito. And that's footnote 15.
Okay, so what does 15 say?
Here's the pasuk in 15. The ish, you're right, it's in Vayikra there. Va'ish ki yitain mum ba'amito. That if a man now makes a blemish on his fellow person. So since it specifically says ish, a man, he only pays on an ish. Ish below shore. A shore wouldn't pay the damages on that. So that's what that pasuk says. That's why the shore doesn't pay on a person.
Okay, so that's 15. That is, but if the owner of an ox that injures pays only for permanent damage,
Right.
and the owner is not liable for the value of the fetus.
Okay, so that the fetus, now the fetus is what we just explained, was the Rashi on what number 16 says.
Okay, and that's the beginning of Shmos 21:22.
Right.
Again, about men, not about animals.
Because it says people. It says people and not animal. So that's why it says, that's where the Rashi says that if men are going to quarrel, on a Shema
Oh,
fighting,
people are not
and
animals.
not ox fighting. So
Okay,
that's where those are the pasuk, that's the original pasuk that's specifically Ish or Anashim, and therefore the Shorim are off the hook because they're not part of the Ish or Anashim.
okay, I got it.
Okay, and that's basically, and this, by the way, that next line, which should have been a little bolder where I started Makkah, is when the Mishnah continues. And I don't know if you want to continue or wait for him to come back before we can continue what's happening.
Yeah, why don't we try and make it to the Mishnah? Get a head
Okay.
start. Get a head start on tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay, so
Alan,
Alan, you want to read from Hamaka?
Yeah,
8782, second paragraph.
got it. Okay. Hamaka S or V S emo. One who strikes his father or his mother, a blow or saw or a hand, raw, and did not inflict a wound upon them, but hovel, viro, viom, kippurim, or one who wounds his fellow on Yom Kippur, Chayiv B'Cholon is obligated for all of them, i.e. all 5 categories of payment. Chol Veil, the Eved Imri, one who wounds a Hebrew servant, Chayiv B'Cholon, is liable for all of them. Chutz min ha-shevos bizman shehu shelo, except for loss of employment when the servant is his. Hachovel Eved Kanani Shel Acharim, one who wounds a Canaanite slave of others, Chayiv B'Cholon, is liable for all of them. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, the Rabbi says, Ain la'avodim boshes. Slaves have no compensation for humiliation.
Okay, so let's go back and read this and see the Rashi's. The case of if he strikes his father and mother without a wound, he's obligated. There are 2 cases here. He hits his mother and father without the wound, or he wounds the fellow on Yom Kippur. He says he would have to pay all 5, all five types of payment. Now, the question is, what is happening to why they're making a deal about it? And that's because if he hits him, he's chayav. It says the Rashi isn't bolded, but it starts with the first. It's like the first line of the Gomorrah is where that Rashi starts. Maka, he hits aviva imo, he hits his father or mother. The ein chayav, he's not considered chayav ad sheyesebehem chabura, unless he makes a wound of him. The Eluheim hanetikim netaknim netakim. And I'm not sure what that stands for, the word, but that's the name of the pasuk. That's the name of the parak in Sanhedrin where it says that the only time he's off the hook is if he does make a wound. And when we're talking about chayev, the reason it's a different type of chayev than what's talking about here, because here you're saying he is obligated in all of them. He's chayev m'klum, and there it's chayev. It's a different type of chayev. He'd be chayev miser if he caused the wound on his parents or whatever. That type of thing. It's not that's what it's talking about chayev. He's not chayev a different level, right? That's what would happen here. Is the Rashi says that here? Yeah, it says it in note 17. He's not chayev the capital punishment for striking unless there's a wound. And that's the Sanhedrin source. And then the same rule should apply to Yom Kippur, because if he causes the wound on Yom Kippur, he'd be subject to chorus, I guess. And it's chorus. That's what note 18 says. Because then he's considering making a malacha. It says 18 and making a malacha on that. Did Rashi say anything on that? No, he didn't.
No,
he
next
didn't
thing
say
Rashi
anything.
talks about is an Evid.
Okay, so that takes care of the first part of the second paragraph. Now, what's the second part of it? The Evid. Okay, if he hits an Evid, he does have to pay him, because an Evid Ivri is like a Jew, but it's an Evid Kanani. Except when, actually, it's not even talking. It can be a Ivri. The question is, he can't say employment because he's the one who's losing out. He's the servant. So that would be that, because it's considered his servant and it's his loss. So why are you making him pay? You have to pay for that. So he's the one who's incurring the loss. He can't work.
I don't see the
That's no
difference
drawing.
between the Evid Ivri and the Evid Kanani.
Yeah, that's coming up next. So it's talking about the Evid Ivri. The Evid Ivri, once you wound him, you do have to pay him because he's considered a Jew, except for the Sheves, because the Sheves is the employment pay, and the employment pay, he's not working for him. So why is he paying the employment pay that he come back to him anyway? So that's not, it's like exempted from the 5, you're down to 4. it wouldn't work in that case. The Kanani is the next part of the mission, where it says, "Achovel be'evid Kanani shalachirim." Someone who pays the Evid Kanani, he'd have to pay them all. But now that's the difference here. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Ein la'avdim boshes. He's exempting them from the boshes of an Evid. An Evid doesn't feel boshes. Okay. Now the Rashi.
So
on
what's the
that-
difference between an Eved Ivri and an Eved Kanani?
An Eved Ivri is a full-fledged Jew, and he's just working off his time of servitude.
No. What's the difference in the law?
Oh, the difference in the law? The law only, so far, except for Rav Yehuda, we're not talking about Rav Yehuda yet. The only difference is the fact that if it's his servant, you wouldn't have to pay you wouldn't have to, because this is, wait, if it says of another's, Hachovel be'evet Kanani shalacherim, you'd have to pay. That would be the same law as the Eved Ivri of a cherim. Right, same law for that. But there's a machlokas in it because Rabbi Yehuda doesn't agree with that. Rabbi Yehuda, no, that doesn't matter. He says they have no boshes, so it's not going to matter if it's Rabbi Yehuda in the second case knocks out the boshes of slaves of others. Slaves have no boshes.
But that's talking about both.
No, I don't think so. I think that would only be talking about a Kanani, because wouldn't it be, the other guy's still a Jew, it's a Jew, it's your Jew, it's a Jew that you're doing it. But if it's a Kanani, why should a Kanani have any boshes? We want to see if the notes, let's see if Rashi says anything, let's see the note. Rashi, Eved, no, that's not the same thing. This is the Eved and the woman who does it. Okay, that's later. That's not. Okay, what is the note on this says? 21 and 22. Okay.
With the Eved
So
Kanani,
he was
talks
considered
about
a Jew.
is a slave of others. With the Eved Ivri, it doesn't mention being the slave of others. I wonder why that's significant.
What?
With an Eved Ivri,
Right.
it says nothing about who owns the Eved. It just says
Well,
if you
nobody
wound an
officially owns
Eved Ivri, he's liable. Period.
right.
With an Eved
Right.
Kanani, it says if he's the slave of others.
Right. Somebody else has this Eved Kanani. It's not his Eved Ivri. It's not his Eved Kanani. His Eved Kanani is his problem. It's his thing. He's wounding somebody else's Eved.
So if
he's
he wounds
wounding
his own
somebody else's-
Eved and he doesn't pay,
his own Eved, he'd be the one who'd be getting the money back. It's like unfortunately, you talk about politically correct and slaves. It's like who gets the money? It's like his, right? Don't you have the case of the Eved Kanani where the kids become his? I mean, it's a totally different ball of wax with an Eved Kanani. They're not like considered. They're considered what do you call them? Chattel, metaltalin. That's what they consider. They considered your property. They're not necessarily considered independent human beings. Eved Kananis. But the question is, you're now doing to somebody else a slave. So now, once you're doing to somebody else a slave, you're causing him, that other person, some sort of a loss. So here's the question then becomes: if you're causing him somebody else to cause a loss, why should there be 5 payments made? And now That's what note 21 is saying. Since the Eved Kanani circumcised in the mikvah to become a Kanani, he has a quasi-Jewish status. So he does incur it, it says. This is the Mary now. But the payments don't go to him. They go to his owner. And then actually, with regard to healing, the healing has to hire the doctor, give the money to the slave, because he has to pay for it to be done. The slave will pay no treatment. I guess that's the tsar. Heal more quickly. The surplus of the healing also goes to the master. Very, very complicated situation with lots of tosfos and Rishonim and Achronim answering on that. Very, very complicated issue.
So if an Eved Kanani is damaged,
Yeah,
then the payment goes to the owner. If an Eved Ivri is damaged,
no, it goes to himself. Goes to the
Where does
Eved
the
Ivri.
payment go?
Where does the what go?
where does the payment go?
It goes to the Eved Ivri. The Eved Ivri is a Jew. You're hurting another Jew. You're hurting another Jew. He's just the concept of an Eved Ivri isn't really like you think of an Eved. He's just somebody who, because he was in debt for what he did, he's now an employee, so to speak. What do you call it? An indentured servant. He's somebody who has to now, he stole something that meant he had to work for a week or a month or a year to pay off his debt to that person, or whatever it is. That's his thing, but it's still a person. The Kanani is Eved Ivri is considered a person. The Eved Kanani is considered a chattel, considered a property, a palpable. Now, the last thing Rabbi Yehuda about saying slaves with no bones gives an answer at the end. That's mine here. I'll let it go to voicemail. Actually, okay, sorry. Okay, there it went.
Okay, let's go on. Cheresh Shota Vikatan, a deaf person, a deranged person, and a minor. Higei Asan Ra'a. Their contract is bad. Their contact is bad. Chovel behen chayiv. One who wounds them is liable. V'hem shechavlu ba'acherim turin. And if they wound others, they are not liable. The Eved, the Ha'isha, and a slave, the English says Canaanite slave. I don't know how it knows that. That's probably Rashi.
What?
And a Jewish woman, Pegi Asan Ra'a, their contact is bad. Chovel Bahem Chayiv. One who wounds them is liable. Behem Shechav Ba'acherim Puturim. And if they wounded others, they are exempt. Aval mi shal min la'achar zman, but they pay at another time. I'm sorry, Nis Garsha Ha'isha Nishtachreir Ha'eved. if the woman divorced or the slave is emancipated, chayavin l'shalem, then they become liable to pay.
Okay.
You want to read the
By
Rashi?
word- Yeah, but I don't, by the way, I'm very unhappy with this word pagia tam, where they say what the word is their contact. I don't know what they mean by contact. Pagia, here a pagia is like a wounding type of thing. I don't know what it means. And I know bad, but I can't say why we call it pagia tam. It's a very bad word that they're using. It's a very bad translation of it. So I don't know. What Rashi says about an Evid. Okay, that it's later on what the Rashi's talking about. First of all, one who wounds them should pay them because they're considered a Jew in one end. But if they wound others, they would not be liable because they're if they're going to wound others, then they don't. There's no das of these people to do it. So there's no das. It wasn't an intentional wounding. Is that what the Rashi? Is that what the note's going to say? Actually, the note 24 totally disagrees with that. And 23 and 24. 23 talks about what a cherish is, but 24 says it can depend, that it's not automatic, because it could depend. When we talk about these people, it depends really, can they work or can they not work? It's not so simple. And whether there's employment or humiliation of these people. The Meiri talks about that. It's a whole complicated thing that this is not the absolute halacha that they're off the hook. That it depends upon whether they're able to, be liable or not in specific cases. Doesn't seem simple. You need to read the Meiri to get an answer. The next Rashi is talking about the next case, which is the Eva, the Isha, the slave. And when he talks about Eva, it usually means a Kanani, is understood. And that's why it's saying that here. And the women, they say that if one of the wounds was liable, because they're considered, you'd have to pay for their damages. But they win others, they're not liable. And
They don't
that's
have
what
any
Rashi
money.
talks about, that the evidence, they haven't got money, right? Shem. And but they can pay if they're in a different category, if she's divorced or free. If she gets divorced or the slave got free, v'kanu nechasim, and they acquire like properties. I guess that now there's money to pay. Because once they got divorced, then they're in a new category, and then they can pay in that category. They're not considered a slave anymore. They're not considered an isha, a married woman anymore. And they are chayivim l'shalem. She'afrei michalchila, after the beginning, hein chayivim. They are chayav. Elo she'ein lehem mal Hashem, but they didn't have to pay. She'nichnasei malu. Show isha. Okay, because once the properties that are, how do you call them, consecrated, that are held for the woman, mishubadim, they're it's like a mortgage. They're obligated.
Prenuptial property.
Right. They're obligated. They're like what do you call it? It's like a collateral type of thing. Is it a collateral? That's like a collateral. Yeah, it's it's money that like a deposit. It's considered theirs. It's held aside. It's what do you call it? It's like a picadon, you know, it's like a deposit. It's there's another word for it, President, you know, obligated, you know, that it's pledged to. Labal. It's pledged for the Baal, Leperot, Yerusha, that the Baal can get the value, that property, even though it owns Taha, that property is now, the husband has the right to enjoy the fruits of the produce that comes from it, and Yerusha, and for an inheritance, that if she dies, he gets that property. So his properties are, how do you call it? They're not free and clear.
They're
It is kind of like a
encumbered.
mortgage type of thing. What?
Encumbered.
Encumbered. They're kind of like stuck on it. Okay, and it is after 12:30, and we did go ahead with this, and hopefully he disagrees, and maybe he could cite the Mary for you if you want on those other things. And we have basically finished the 87A2. Okay, take
Okay.
care, be well.
Great day.
Okay, good day. Try again tomorrow.